And another thing I saw, which was really surprising to me, is how many. Now we're on a lot of tours, a lot of tourists. How many people still are using? First of all, there was a large number of people, surprisingly large number of people using DSLRs. I mean, big cameras with interchangeable lenses. This is no longer the domain of the pro or the prosumer. This has moved down to a lot of people. But a lot of people are also using. Most people are still using their smartphone, but a lot of people are using tablets to take pictures.
I hate that.
It looks bizarre.
Yeah, I don't like it.
You know, the cover's hanging off the iPad, swinging in the wind.
Yes.
And they've got this giant thing.
It's like they're holding a pillow up to smother somebody.
It's almost zombie-like. Picture of ruins.
No, I get that the tablet lets you see a lot of what's going on in the world around you. By the way, so does putting the tablet down and watching the world around you. But, you know, they don't really tend to have great cameras. I mean, you know, the type of person that would have a brand new iPad probably has a brand new iPhone, and that device has a way better camera.
Well, I know.
You know, I find that kind of sad that people are doing that.
You know, this is the closest I get to consumer research. I just, once a year, I wander among the unwashed masses.
Right. I do that. You walk down a plane and you look at what people are doing on the plane. You walk through a terminal, a train, a train station or airport or whatever, and you observe, and you do, I'm sure, what people are using, what they're doing on it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, in the old days, business travel used to involve a lot of guys with tank-like Dell computers playing Minesweeper or Solitaire.
Exactly. You don't
while
see
they
that
waited
so
for
much.
the play. You saw that all the time. You never see that.
Don't see that so much. Tablets everywhere.
No. Tablets everywhere.
And I remember the first time I saw a Windows 7 phone was in London Heathrow. Big ad.
Yeah.
And it probably was a Nokia ad in London Heathrow. Hey, while I was gone, did Microsoft and YouTube kiss and make up?
Sort of.
What happened with that one? Last we heard,
Leo, this story I'm gonna have to consult notes because this story is convoluted.
It's very convoluted.
No, seriously, like that. It is crazy. Where I know I wrote about them. All right, so no, I mean this is like a story that spans the entire year.
Okay,
so last year
at this time.
Google in December, Google announced they were not going to ship any apps for Windows 8 or Windows Phone 8 beyond the one search app.
Use the browser.
They basically said, look, nobody uses these things. We're not doing it.
Right.
So that was sort of a weird little moment. But then a few months later, Microsoft released what I thought was an excellent and what they described as an official YouTube app for Windows Phone 8. It had a couple features that were kind of interesting. For example, there were no ads, which people really enjoyed. And you could actually download YouTube apps to your phone with the app, which is I didn't know at the time, but that's YouTube kind of an
videos. It's not done. It's not done.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So later in the month at I don't know if it was at Google I/O or some event, Google CEO Larry Page blamed Microsoft for the problems the two companies were having, and he alluded to the YouTube app when he said that Microsoft was taking advantage of interoperating with Google, because they released this app that doesn't include the advertising functionality that Google builds into YouTube. But then Microsoft issued a public statement where they said, actually, Google refused to work with us on this app. And we wanted to put the advertising in, but they wouldn't tell us how to do it. And so now that Larry Page had come out and made this public statement, they said, we're really excited to hear they want to work with us. So here we are. We're willing to, let's work on this together. So later in May, they updated the app to address Google's concerns. They didn't have the advertising, I don't think, in that version.
No.
But they did remove the ability to download the YouTube, download the videos.
Right.
So then Google publicly announced in a joint statement with Microsoft that they were going to work together to update the YouTube app. And everyone, that's amazing. I think I referred to it as Glasnost. So in August, Microsoft released what they said was the Google-approved version of the YouTube app, which does include in-video advertising from Google. And then Google immediately blocked it because Microsoft didn't base it on HTML5, which is apparently a requirement for YouTube mobile apps, despite the fact that no YouTube mobile apps use HTML5, including Google's. So since then, it's been blocked. And so this week, they released a new version of the YouTube app for Windows Phone 8. And this version of the app is hilarious.
Does it play video?
When you run it,
yeah,
it launches Internet Explorer and navigates to YouTube.com. I am not joking.
That's all it does. It's a bookmark.
Yep.
But the other one, the last one before this was broken, right? So at least this.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. They were blocking it. It worked when it first came out.
Right.
I downloaded it. I took screenshots of it. I made it an app pic, and then Google blocked it. Like, it all happened in like 6 hours.
Wow.
Yep, completely broken. So those two guys, it's
a little wacky. It's like the Three Stooges. It's like Moe and Larry.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to explain this to me. Actually, I'm glad that you put this in your notes because I don't really understand what they're talking about. We tried to parse this on This Week in Google yesterday. The story, and it wasn't there wasn't much detail, but the story, and I forgot where it was, probably The Verge.
Probably The Verge.
Implied that somehow Windows 8 was going to have Chrome OS, that Google was somehow going to sneak Chrome OS into Windows 8.
So this is a little convoluted, but you may be familiar with the fact that if you run Chrome on Windows 8 and you make it your default OS, you get this weird, not really Metro, but looks and works like a Metro version of Chrome.
Right.
So you can alternatively use that version if you want.
Right.
It's a full screen interface and all that stuff. It's not actually a Metro app, but I guess Microsoft provides these APIs in Windows 8 that enables this kind of browser. And to my knowledge, Google is the only company that's taken advantage of it.
Does Firefox use this for their Metro version of Firefox?
No, I believe I haven't actually looked at that one, but I believe that what they're doing is an actual
app. Okay.
Yeah, that will have to come through the store.
Right.
So this one you just get with Chrome. So you download the x86 version of Chrome. It's a desktop application, but you also, if you make it the default browser, you get this full screen experience. It's not really Metro, but it looks and works like Metro. So if you did this with Windows 8, or if you do this right now with Windows 8, one of the things you'll notice, and this is maybe a year ago now, but I had written a post at the time about this, is right around the time that Google said, hey, we're not going to make any more apps for Windows 8, they snuck this interface in that's kind of in the Google browser where you can it's like shortcuts to Google services. And it's like a grid of them. It's like the thing you see in the new tab page or whatever. And it's like this way to access Google services. And it was like, well, we're not going to get any more apps from Google, but you can access them this way. And, that's kind of if you want full screen access to Google services, like this will work. But I guess, Google, as you know, probably, they have different, they call them channels for Chrome. You can get the mainstream regular public version. There's a beta version. There's a third one that's less than beta. I don't remember what they call it, but there are different versions of it. And so before these things hit the public version, you can get these earlier versions and you can see features that are coming later. And I guess in the latest builds, they've added this thing where in that full screen, not quite Metro version of Chrome, you get that kind of Chrome OS style desktop environment. And so it's like an embedded version of Chrome OS that some people have said is like they're sneaking it into Windows 8. But it's really just a full screen. It's like basically a web page, right? It's built into Chrome. It's not actually Metro. Like it's not sandboxed and part of the Metro environment. It's really just a desktop app that kind of fools the system.
Oh, all right. So it's not kind of what it was cracked up to be as a kind of Trojan horse version of Chrome OS.
No, I mean, I look at it, and what it reminds me of is like running an OS in a VM, and it's kind of in this case, it's full screen, and you could do that on the Mac or Windows anyway with a VM. But I don't think this is a huge deal. That said, I do think they should block it.
I saw you tweet that, actually. You're like,
just as
Microsoft,
punishment,
block it.
Yeah, just block it. Just
hundreds of people retweeted you on that, actually.
Yeah,
so
show them what it feels like, No, but then you see the problem with Twitter is you can't throw it like a one-liner. Like people can't just enjoy it. They can't just be like, oh, that's really funny, and then move on. They have to say stuff like, Mr. Thurrott, I don't understand how Microsoft could block it because it's just a desktop app. Like relax. It's a joke.
What people don't understand is that Paul Thurrott is the carrot top of Windows.
Yeah, that's exactly how I think of myself. Yeah. Right. prop comic, the prop comic of tech bloggers.